Hello and welcome back to Run to Run. It's just us two that's here today. We thought we'd have a bit of a catch up. We've got news to tell. I've been racing. Nikki's got the Fling coming up this weekend. So it's all go or been or tired or stuff. So it's gonna catch up on what's happening. So Nikki, this is Thursday that we're recording and
Yep.
the Fling is Saturday. Tell us all the news.
Well, those of you that do listen in and follow my Instagram page will probably be all aware now. I've not actually made a formal announcement until now open in the public, but unfortunately I have had to pull out of Fling. And it's taken 5 weeks and 5 days to start to actually not have the lump in my throat of actually saying that, and even that it's got to.
And there's obviously a reason for this. You want to go? I know what the reason is, although I'm shocked to hear that you're not doing the race. You want to go back a few weeks to say what's the reason behind it?
So 9th of August, Saturday morning, Lee Campbell had arranged one of his quarterly Pentlands run. His intention was to do winter, spring, summer, autumn. So this was the summer version of the Pentlands, so that we're all getting nice views of them, different views, different terrain. And we set off. The weather was wild at the tops. It was hard work. I thought I would have been okay, actually, and I probably was a lot fitter than what I was for the spring version, but it was tough conditions going up to the top. Got to the top of Carnethy Hill, which was the second hill we'd summited. Got a beautiful rainbow. It's on my Instagram. Took the pictures, everything like that. Then started running down the hill because the weather was starting to turn. And it was starting to get, sun was coming out and everything. It was lovely. Felt really, really strong at that point, starting to gain a bit more confidence, and stopped to take a picture of the beautiful hill in front of us. I can't remember which one. Lee would be able to tell us. And Stevie was behind me. And I asked, "Oh, you okay?" I was like, yeah, I'm just taking a picture. I felt really good on that stretch. Serena, who was an upcoming guest, passed by. Ross Beveridge passed by. So everyone went to the gate that we all were going to meet at, and me and Stevie were at the back. Put my foot down a rabbit hole, I think it was what it was, and it all happened that fast. My ankle went snap and I went down like a sack of ties. And all I could hear was Stevie go, and I thought, oh no, it must be bad, because between the snap and Stevie's reaction, you know when you're a parent and a child falls and the child instantly looks to the parent for what should I do? I think that's what I'd done with Stevie, and just seen the horror in his face. And I was like, and it sounds really stupid, but the first thought I had was, oh no, Fling. Fling's in 6 weeks. So
Was the rabbit hole okay?
Well, I think it was because Stevie and Lee were out the following week and put the pole in it and says, "Oh, I think this was the one you fell down." I was like, "Yeah, thanks, guys."
Just rubbing it in. I like. Good job, guys.
So I managed. Stevie picked me up, tried to walk along to the gate to meet everyone, and I couldn't walk. Like, I could not put my foot down. I think it was just the shock, and I was like, "Oh no." So thankfully I had layers in my bag, and Stevie says, "Right, get your layers on, sit tight here, we'll come up and get you." So I was like, right, okay. And I was shaking that much, I couldn't actually open and get my trousers on. Took a few deep breaths and tried to calm myself down, which I did. Got my layers on, got my trousers on, and got myself back up, and just kind of really slowly, tentatively walked to the group. So I was glad I'd done that, and I thought, right, well, that's good, because it's not horrifically dislocated, broken, whatever. Because when you fall, that was the first really huge accident I've had out on a hill. I've been really lucky, and thank God I was with a group, but it sounds really silly. I'm like, I really hope Mountain Rescue don't have to come and get me. You've got all these thoughts going through your mind, but this is exactly why I pack safety kit. I mean, I look at really experienced advanced trail runners, and a lot of them don't seem to pack, you know, the basic kit, which blows my mind because it can happen to anyone.
Yep, definitely.
So managed to get back down, got to a cafe, sat tight while Stevie ran on ahead to the car park where his car was, came up, got us, and then we had coffee and cake afterwards, which I wish would have made it all better, but it really didn't.
Cake always makes it better.
It softened the blow, and the sympathetic head tilts and, oh, are you okay? It's like, yeah, it's sore ankle, it'll be fine. But when I got home, because everyone told me, don't take your shoe off. Like, if you can avoid it, don't, because it'll keep the swelling in.
Yeah.
And when I got home, managed to get a shower, and the ankle just blew up. I knew myself I had to go to A&E and get it x-rayed, because the only reason I think I did do that is because of the audible snap. I thought I need to get it checked and make sure I've done nothing huge, because had it been broken, I actually think that would have made things a bit better, because it would have made the decision there and then for a fling. It's like, right, you're not doing it, that, you know, on that day. Whereas I had about 2 or 3 weeks of, oh, it might be better, but I don't know. With hindsight, looking back now, it probably what the decision should have been made that day anyway, because it completely screwed my training. I could barely walk for a week after it, and I was in a moon boot. So
yeah, if it had been broken, weirdly, a break is actually better because it breaks and it heals. Whereas it's like ligament damage or whatever it is, that can take a long time.
Yeah.
So you're better off with a break.
Yeah. So I managed to get to see Johnny Kilpatrick, former guest, and I couldn't get to him sooner because he was on holiday with his family. So he was away for about 2 weeks. And then, you know how it is, it was the end of the month, you know, I wanted to book the appointment, waited for payday, and it's just getting the availability and finding when I could get time off work. So it was another week on top of that. So you're talking a good 3-4 weeks before I could get to the physio. And Johnny, thankfully, he'd actually seen my Instagram and what had happened, because there was no way I was messaging him on his holiday.
Yeah.
He messaged me and asked, when it happened, did it swell straight away in the first 30 minutes? And I was like, I have no idea, Johnny. I was in shock. The shoe was on. I said, I don't think so. But it was, I said, it all happened that fast. Done his assessment, and he's like, yeah, you've got real instability in the ankle, which explains, because at points in that very first week, I actually felt like my foot was coming off my leg. It felt that unstable. It was a horrible feeling. So when I've Googled, he says it was a grade 2 sprain, which I had no idea sprains had gradings. I thought a sprain was a sprain and that was it. But it turns out when I've went into Google and seen that it's been a partial tear of a ligament, and I had fluid around the tendon. Thankfully, the tendon's not snapped, but it's partial tear of a ligament and fluid around the tendon, and time and strengthening exercises. And here we are at this point. I've ugly cried over it about it was the weekend just before I went to see Johnny. I think I went for a run on the West Highland Way from Mulgai to the road crossing at Mugdock and then back again, because I thought it would be okay. But after that run, it was really swollen, really sore. Again, with hindsight, not the most sensible thing to do, just going out for a tester run. I done another tester run after that, still obviously not right. So just been doing strength exercises, trying to keep the fitness up on the turbo trainer. And yeah, I've been not the easiest person to live with either.
And why would you say that? You're normally fine enough, don't complain at all. But
No, I do find stuff to complain about, Mike. I'm female, come on. I think what it's been is, since changing jobs as well, I've got quite a lot more responsibility. I purposefully don't talk about my work on the podcast because I work in a hospital. It's confidentiality rules. We have to be very, very careful. But there's obviously scenarios I deal with that are really, really stressful. And the last few weeks, I don't know if it's because I've not been able to run, that's a way I do deal with stress and clear my head and just get that energy out, or if the last few weeks in work have just been especially stressful just because of certain circumstances. But it's not been easy. I'm not going to lie, and it's just been rubbish.
Well, think about it. You've got the time that you would have been running to do other stuff, get your life sorted out. So take it as an advantage that you're being having a forced break.
It is. I do try and think positively like that, but when you're actually in it, you do try and think, and you think, oh, I've got, right, okay, I'll do strength and I'll go on the turbo. And I have took opportunities to do that, but it's not the same. It is not the same as getting out on the hills.
It's not what you want to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. And it is okay, I think, when you are injured. And I've actually been comparing my injury to other people's, which it's a bit nuts really, because you can't do that. But I do think I have felt myself, I've been thinking a lot about Kaylee Webster. Kaylee, if people don't know, I'm sure she won't mind me saying this. Kaylee had a stress fracture in her hip and could literally do nothing for 5 weeks. And I do think back to that and I think, oh, stop being so miserable. You can at least do strength, you can do the turbo. But Kaylee's been amazing at being in touch with me as well. And I've said I feel stupid for feeling the way I feel, because all I've done in the grand scheme of things is roll my ankle. It's not the end of the world. It's a first world problem. But it's just shit.
So the most boring thing, how do you get back out of it?
Well, I have had big cries. I went on, just before we started recording, it says to you, I ended up in Balmaha randomly on a walk when I was supposed to be going to Home Balkans. I think you just need to ride the wave. Someone said to me as well, really good friends, when I was speaking to her and voice noting her, and really in the pitch, she says, well, the good thing is, when you know you're in the dip and you're at the bottom of the dip, the only way is up. So
yeah, it's quite true.
I think in the mindset,
can it get worse? Like exactly. you're not running, you're not doing what you want to be doing. Well, it can only get better from here. So
exactly. So I'm back at Johnny tomorrow. The ankle does feel a lot better. I was thinking about this, and the last week has been the first week I've actually not woke up in the morning and felt that I've had an ankle there, which is really good. I've still got twinges in it, but I've not actually ran on it either, which is what is needed. It just needs to take time.
So Saturday morning, I don't even know what the start time. It used to be 6 o'clock in the morning. Will you be in Mulgai?
I am taking Stevie McKenna to the start line. So I'll be picking Stevie up between 4 and 5:30. We'll be heading to the start, and I'm there for the full day. So if you're listening to this on your run on the Fling, if you get there, get it finished, because I can't.
Doing it for Nikki.
Yeah.
Hashtag doing it for Nikki.
No, I'm gutted, because it's something I booked since last October. The entries opened in October, and that was I'm definitely doing Fling. It's my big race. Myself and John sat down and had a big chat about running in general, and as couples do, I would imagine, when you've got a spouse that doesn't run. We had that chat of, right, can we rein this back a little bit, because it's not all about running, because it's the training as well that comes with it. So my events, Falkirk Ultra was already booked at the start of the year, which I'd done. I'd also booked Run the Blades because I wanted to finish the 3 in the weekend. I wanted to do the half marathon. So I've done the 10K, I've done the 50K, and now I've done the half marathon and Fling and the RTYD Chili Trail, which is just so much fun. That was 4 actual events that I'd booked. And then on top of that, West Highland Way weekend was negotiated that we could go to that. So 5 weekends out of the whole year. And it's not even really full weekends. Fling and West Highland Way, I would count as full weekends, but the other events, it's like morning things and things like that. Because you've got to make time for family as well.
Yeah, running's just a hobby. Family is what counts. So you're going to the start line. Have you told them that you're not starting?
I have sent an email to John Duncan, and I don't know if I had emailed the correct address and sent a messenger message to offer to volunteer, but I've not heard anything back because I think the final roster is now out. So I would have loved to have volunteered, but I've got a real thing about collecting my race number. So this is part of why I've kept this quiet. I've known I've not been doing Fling for the last couple of weeks, but I've not wanted to openly say it because I have never DNS'd an event before. And for Fling, it's clearly stated in the rules you can't defer and there's no refunds. There's only refunds, I think, even at the start of June. Before the start of June, if you're pulling out, you get a refund at that point, but after that, you don't get any refunds. So if I've paid £120 and I'm DNSing an event, the bare minimum I want out of that is my printed number, so that I can stick something on my wall to say I had the balls to sign up for a 50-odd mile event. And 2, it spurs me on for next year because I'm going to be doing it next year.
Yeah. And as much as everybody thinks that you can't defer, you can't get a refund or whatever, I totally sympathise with the race organisers, and there's a lot of admin. And if they did offer deferrals, then you think there's 700 people do the Fling?
Yeah.
It seems to vary. Say 700. 25% of them would probably want to defer. So that's a lot of money that they've already spent out.
Yeah, for sure.
I can totally sympathise with them.
And it's clearly stated when you sign up. You know, if you read the race rules before you even sign up, it says quite a few times, by the way, you can't defer. And stupidity on my part was, or naivety, you're actually offered to pay an extra £10 for insurance or whatever in case you get injured, which I didn't take because I've never been injured.
Yeah. Only time that I've seen that is UTMB, because it cost, back in the day, I was 11 years ago now, it was about $350 just for the race, and then your accommodation, and I think you spent like an extra €10 or something like that, and it was a no-brainer. You do it, because if you're going up in the hills and try and hide in rabbit burrows, then it's your own fault.
You know what? That's played on my mind as well, because I have sat and thought to myself, why did I go up the Pentlands or go on the hills, 6 weeks out? But it's not stupid, really, because my plan for leading up to that was going to be, I was doing that run as a social, and Nick had programmed in an hour and a half for me the next day, because the actual social run wasn't a long run, really. It was elevated, but she wanted me running on more tired legs on Sunday for longer, which is fine. The week after that was to be my longest run, which I was actually going to plan to run loops around the block, insanity loops. And when I said to people about that, they said, that sounds awful. I was like, but I actually quite like the thought that the house is there, I can bail at any time, and it's more of a mental thing than anything. It's actually good because I would have had my stock there, fueling and stuff like that. I'd have had a toilet there if I needed it. There's that comfort, but there's also the option to bail, which wouldn't have been an option, and it was on road, which...
Yeah, well, I was a way to say, yes, you're getting the miles and the legs. Yes, you've got all the home comforts if you need them, but you need to be training for the type of terrain that you're going to be racing on. If you're wrapping yourself in bubble wrap, then you're not training for that race. So when the race comes, you're in for a shock.
Yeah.
So you need to train for it.
Well, the week after that was going to be the final recce from Rowerdene to Inversnaid and back. That was the last big section I had left to cover. So obviously I've not done that either. So the training has just, it's absolutely collapsed. And when I spoke to Johnny about it when I was at my first consultation, we had a really good chat about it. And he said, well, he says, you could start if you wanted. Says you could potentially finish, but at what cost? He says, you've not trained to the level that you want to do this event at. Your ankle isn't strong enough to do it, and you've got potential that you could put yourself out for longer, so it's just not worth it.
Yeah, totally agree. The other thing I was going to ask was, you were out for a group run in the hills, meeting people socially, and you always message me saying, I feel sick, I'm so nervous. Were you nervous for that run?
Yeah, it doesn't go away.
And follow-on question, you've not got the fling, but you're still going to the start line. Are you nervous?
Yeah. I'm not nervous. I'm really, really excited. What me and Stevie are actually going tomorrow night to pick up the race numbers, so that I can tell them I'm DNSing, which I would always say to people, let them know if you're intending on not starting the race. From as you said, from a race organiser's point of view, I had an insight to that when I done timekeeping at Run Llama and done that Sunset Ultra thing. I got an insight into what John and Chris had to do, and see, just keeping track of all the runners as a safety thing. It's so important. So I'll be going to tell them I'm not starting and collect my number. Stevie will be picking up his number to register, so that we don't have that admin to do on Saturday morning. And it means that when we get to the start line, you have got the social, oh, how you doing, and all that, because I think everyone's intention, a lot of people's intention is, once you start running, that's you're running your own race. It's not a social run. For some people, it's racing against themselves. For some people, it's pushing themselves. But I think for the most part, unless people have actually arranged to run with a friend or what have you, most of my friends that I know that are doing it, that's not the case. It's I'll see you when I see you. Which
is fair enough. You've paid the entry, go and do your thing.
Absolutely.
And if you happen to run with people during that, then great.
Just don't get sucked in, because I've had a chat with Stevie about that, about his race tactics, and he's really excited. It's actually, that's the main reason I'm actually going to spectate, because I want to see him finish off his Triple Crown, because I was there volunteering at the Devil. I've obviously crewed him on West Highland Way for the whole weekend, so I feel quite invested in Stevie's journey. So although I'm not running, and I've got quite a lot of friends that are, and I want to be there to show support, and I'm okay now. I'm not going to lie. 2-3 weeks ago, I wasn't okay about it. I was far from okay, and only you knew, a couple of close friends knew how I actually felt. But that's why I have been a good bit quieter on the socials as well, because I've had nothing really to post about.
That doesn't normally stop you. Nothing to say, but say it anyway.
Who knows, Mike? Maybe I'm growing up.
I don't believe it. Well, I think we both say good luck to anybody that is taking on the fling. And say hello to Nikki. I won't be there myself, but Nikki will represent both of us. Well, depends how well she's behaved. If she's well behaved, she's representing the podcast. But if she's not, then yeah, it's just her.
Yeah, we're coming to the end of the year probation period.
It is, was it September now? and mid-October was a year since you've joined the podcast.
Yeah.
So big things to come, I'm sure.
And how do you feel about that? Happy that you teamed up?
I think it's been successful. That's we've had guests on that we wouldn't have without you. So you've done your job. Now keep it going.
Oh, come on, mate. We both know I've coined my own nickname as the booking bitch.
I didn't say anything.
You have not said that, and I'm saying that while we're being recorded. Mike has, well, he's not openly said that, but that has been me that's came up with that. So no one get annoyed at Mike. So aside from fling shenanigans, which will be happening this weekend, and who knows, we might get a variety of guests out of that weekend. You have just ran your own race. What have you been doing last weekend?
Well, last weekend was my third race of the year. I did Great Glen short course, but I was sweeping, so technically it wasn't really a race. I wasn't racing. It was a race. I wasn't racing. See the video. I was doing checkpoint roulette where I was eating what was ever on the table. And it's good. It's a nice race. I've done the full one 4 times, so recommend it. Other race.
And kudos to Fiona Rennie, who got one of the best race photos I think I've seen all year of you. Is it the princess chair? Yeah.
Last checkpoint, you've got to sit down in the princess chair. You've not seen the photos. I've done it previous years as well. So.
I think that's a post in the making. Then you'll need to dig those out because your picture from this year was fabulous.
Jazz hands and everything.
Exactly.
Then we went on to Highlander Backyard. My goal was Bill had asked me to be the team captain because he was busy. He's normally the manager. Well, he was the manager, but he was busy actually directing the race. So conflict of interest. He asked me to take over the team captain thing, which, to be honest, it didn't involve anything that I wasn't doing anyway. Motivation. Try to get everybody to be a team. Hopefully, they found that helpful because I did. I found it got me more into the race by encouraging them to be part of the Team Scotland.
Yeah, and I've seen a video as well where you gave a really heartfelt motivational speech to the team at the beginning, and that was so good. It was lovely.
I tried as yeah. I think I did get to a point where it was like mind blank, can't talk anymore. Somebody said it was emotional. Yeah, it was all of the above. And I think that was sort of put the point across. We were a team, we worked together, and unfortunate circumstances, the race got cancelled, but Scotland were in the lead at the time, and it was decided between the teams, the managers of the teams, not the runners, that Scotland would take the title because they had a big enough lead, I think it was. So to me, that race was a success because Scotland won, and that's what I was going into it for. I wasn't actually interested in winning the race itself. I was wanting the team to win, and we did. So success.
And can you remember at the end of that how many Team Scotland was still in it at that point at cancellation?
I think there was, don't quote me on this, but I think there was 7 people, 3 from Scotland, 3 from England, and 1 not in the team. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure, possibly Karen something was the person on their own. Don't quote me on that. Well done for her for being up there. I'm sure I think she was a Scottish runner, and I'm sure we will see her near Team Scotland, if not in it, in the future.
Yeah.
So big things to come. And then on to this weekend, just past, was Hardwick Hall. It was a race. Rasselbach running Sherwood Pines is my previous personal best at Backyard, 42 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That was March last year. Same organising team was putting on a new race in Hardwick Hall. And before we went down, well, it took me 421 miles to drive to get to the start line.
That was going to be my first question. Where is Hardwick Hall in the country?
Next to Mansfield, which is south of Sheffield.
Right.
My geography for that area is rubbish, but Google got me all the way to the grounds, and then Jonathan, one of the assistant race director, Eric's backyard bitch, as it were. His instructions were go along here, and once you've got this far, you've gone too far, so you should have turned back. Google managed to get me 420 miles, and I got lost in the last mile.
You should have left breadcrumbs.
Well, feedback for them. Well, the worst thing is I drove past him and he just waved. It was like, well, you should probably go back that way. Yeah, feedback for them is draw a map, and then people will know where they've got to go. But
yeah.
it was, I was in, most people had tents, and I was in the camper van. So there was a limited number of camper van spaces, and you had to book to them in advance. Yeah. So the directions for most people were going to the normal camping. I was going to the exception. So it's fair enough that they weren't 100% correct, but it just added to the, why am I not finding the space? I ended up in the normal visitors to Hardwick Hall's car park, and the instruction says, yeah, don't go there, you've gone too far. But I got to meet Eric and Jonathan's mum and dad. They pointed me in the right direction. So I was, and they laughed at the instructions as well.
Well, trust mum and dad to fix things, as always.
They were very helpful throughout the whole day. I was talking to their dad, and he was saying, oh, I just walk about and talk to people, make it look like I'm busy. So that's all he needs to do. He's keeping people happy was his job, as far as I was concerned, and he did that. Excellent job.
And how close did you get to the starting corral?
We were probably 30 to 40 meters away from the starting corral, because the camper vans were, the tents were basically on the start line. If you were in a tent, you could be on the start line, and the camper vans were behind all the tents.
Yeah.
I did have a clear path to the corral from my van, but there was still 30-ish meters to go.
And could you see the start line from the van?
I couldn't see the start line, but I could see the corral.
Yeah.
So the start area I could see.
Yeah, because having not done a backyard event myself, I would imagine that, like, from going up to Highlander and seeing you guys, it's quite a key part in how close you do get to it, doesn't it? And I would imagine that's so much more important in the latter stages, when you're trying to get that precious time of snoozing, and then up you get, and every second counts, literally. Yeah,
well, there was a bit of a story. I'll get on to that in a minute, about the start line. The actual race itself, it started at 10 o'clock in the morning. We had been warned in advance that Storm Amy was coming, and that could have cancelled the race.
Yeah.
We didn't know. Weather nowadays, you don't know if the wind is coming. It's forecast, but you just don't.
Unless so how far in advance how far in advance did you guys get? Was it when you got to the event that was announced, or did they send you all an email saying the day before or something?
I think they put something on Facebook or Instagram saying, just be careful. Or be mindful, not careful, because there's nothing you could have done about it. That it's out with their control, and 100% they can't control the weather. Although no. I didn't see Eric doing any dances to the weather gods. He could have done that. I don't think it would make any difference, but you never know. He didn't do it, and so
it's just one of these. It's an uncontrollable. I mean, you can prepare for bad weather, but when it's something like a storm and winds, it's got to be safety first for everyone.
Well, for backyards, I try and think about the controllables, the uncontrollables, and although the weather is uncontrollable, you can prepare for it. If it was going to be wet, take waterproofs for you. If it was going to be windy, I had a tent in the van that I could have put up, but because it was forecast to be windy, I didn't put the tent up. I could have had that on the start line, but I was willing to take the
extra time,
the risk, the extra time, the comfort of the van, rather than the tent.
And you talk about the comfort of the van, and rather than not having a tent, you had a crew this time, didn't you?
I did. Previously, like the Highlander, we had the Scotland crew, Lorna and Mary, who the crew for me before. They're excellent, no qualms whatsoever. Apart from they steal my pistachio butter, but they know about that. No, it was, couldn't complain about them whatsoever. This time, I had previous guest Rebecca Horman. And as far as I was concerned, she knows what she's doing. She's PB 36, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Won the West Highland Way this year.
Yeah.
Followed. I wouldn't say did what I told her to do. Took on my advice. She's won Whitaker Backyard earlier on this year. She knows what she's doing. Her resume as a crew person. So, some people say that a runner might not make the best crew. You need to know about crewing, but as far as I'm concerned, she knows. Or when I'm crewing, I crew like I want to be treated, and I think that's the same attitude that she had as well. She treated me how she wanted to be crewed. So, thank you, Rebecca. It was an experience that I would. You're signed up again. You're not getting the choice. So,
I think that's important, though. That people say don't have a runner as crew. I do disagree with that as well, because I think there needs to be an element of understanding, like you say, of what you want, and also to know like what you're going through. I've heard in a podcast or two before, don't have your spouses crewing, because they are so invested in you and so caring that if they see you suffering or if they see you being sick, the first thing you want to do is to protect them and go, oh no, come on, let's get you wrapped up. Whereas, your crew will say, right, you've been sick, brilliant, out you go again. We'll deal with it on the next one.
I think it can go both ways. You can have crew that are your spouse, the mountain runners. Look at the world backyard champion, Phil Gore. He usually has his wife as the crew, but she knows what it means to him. So she knows what to put it through. She knows that if she was too loving, too easy on him, he wouldn't like it afterwards. So
as you say, I can out either way. But maybe next time a crew for the crew, I'll crew Rebecca while she crews you.
But the advantage we have in the van was that between the loops, she was able to rest in the van.
Yeah.
and be there for me when I needed it. And I didn't feel that I needed it, but that was because she did everything that she needed to do. There wasn't anything that I was like, oh, why haven't you got this ready? And there was sometimes it's like, oh, I didn't tell you in advance that I needed this, and she would go and get it. So it was.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Did you take your phone out on a loop? Because I know you can have the best laid plans in the world, but when you're actually out on the event, you think, actually, I don't want that thing that I wrote down. I actually fancy a pot noodle instead on this loop. So did you text her, or did you just tell her when you were back at camp, actually, for the next one, I fancy this?
I normally take my phone with me because I'm listening to music. This race and the Highland earlier in the year, I didn't listen to music at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's partly because later on in the race, I want it there if I want to use it. It's a tool.
Yeah.
But for the first 11 yards, I didn't have my phone on me. And the reason why I know there was that exact time, because on yard 11, I sort of teamed up with Vic Owens, previous guest, and running along, she had a strategy of she would walk a yard, half walk, run a yard, and then run a yard. But she'd previously walked a yard and knew exactly her timings, knew exactly she would get in with 56, 57 minutes, and she knew she could do it that early on in the race. 10, 11 hours is still early in terms of backyard. So she had full confidence that she could do that yard in that time. And I put my confidence in her, and we got back in 57 minutes. The only problem was that before the yard, I didn't even know. So it wasn't that I didn't tell Rebecca that I was doing a walking yard. I didn't know until I started running with Vic.
Yeah.
And right from the start, I was like, all right, I'll just chat to you. I got to probably mile 3 out of 4 and thought, I should probably tell Rebecca that I'm fine. I'm going to be late. But I didn't have my phone on me, so I couldn't tell her. And when I got into the back to the start, 57 minutes had passed, and I had the food for the before the next lap ready. Rebecca had brought it to the start line because she was worried. She was, I think she was messaging yourself. She was going to the race director, who she knows personally, and saying, what's happened? Go and send an ambulance out. She was panicking.
There was that panic because she messaged me, and I think, was it about 9 o'clock at night or something? It was between 8:30 and 9. She messaged and she says, Mike's not back from his loop yet. And I looked at the time and I'm like, maybe he's just taking it. She's like, no, this is too long. And I went back onto Timing Monkey and looked at your laps, and I was like, okay. And then I started to panic and pacing up and down my living room, like constantly refreshing this timing app, screaming at my phone, come on, Mike, because she's messaged me, and I said, has he not got his phone on him? And she said yes, because she thought you did. And you hadn't messaged her back. So there was that panic. But as you say, and when you left on the next one, she says, yeah, he's fine. He was happier than he's been the whole event. I was like, yeah, I would kill him. But I think it was all good. As you say, if you didn't know at the start, you know yourself, when you're saying you're out on that loop and you're at mile 3, oh, I should have said something.
Yeah.
It's just one of these things. So you knew if you were going to do that again. But you kept it. Were you head torches at that point then? What time did the head torch go on?
Head torch was the 8 o'clock yard. Mm-hmm. But at the end of that walking yard, I had been doing, if you ignore the first yard, I'd been doing 39-minute yards. Yeah. Felt comfortable. It was a pretty flat course. Some of it was, the worst bit was completely flat grass field, but it had cattle previously on it, so it was quite rutted.
Yeah.
So it was hard to run on. It could have been easier. But 39-minute yards, they were easy. It felt comfortable. So that was kind of why 39 minutes going up to 57 minutes. That was why she panicked. But I had the same food at the end of it, and I thought, all right, I'll just down it, and I just took it in really quickly, but it was probably too quick, because for the whole of the next lap, and possibly even the lap after that, I was getting, it felt like I had a stitch, like heartburns. Almost, I didn't feel like I was going to be sick, but it was, I'd eaten the food too quickly.
What did you have?
I think it was Weetabix, but I had it like quite milky, so that I could just drink it rather than eat it. But after the next lap, I'd been prepared, and I had antacids in my kit box. So I had one of them, and it instantly sorted it out. So again, preparation is key.
And you get to yard 11, yard 12, the head torch is on from 8 o'clock, so that's what, yard 10. You get to know the course pretty well by that point, so were you quite happy going into the nighttime loop? You've got the muscle memory of the course.
I would have been. The course, it was a fantastic course. It was great. Apart from the bit that you weren't expecting, the rutted field, all the rest of the course was perfect. But the Rasbach had planned for a different course for a nighttime loop. Still the same distance, but cutting out what they had thought to be a bit that was had tree roots in it, and you had to think about it more. So they took that section out and added it in an out and back on tarmac. And I told Eric so that I think that was a wrong idea. There was nothing wrong with the original loop. If you look at the old Suffolk course, no night loop. The new Suffolk course, no night loop. Sherwood Pines, no night loop. You get big. Yeah, Highlander. Well, the three that I mentioned, they've all got big yards. My PB, the Scottish record is at Sherwood Pines by a Scottish person, but in England. The British records are at Old and New Suffolk. That's why I mentioned them. They've all got big yardage, and they don't have night loops. So, and Sherwood Pines, it had bits that were tree roots, and you didn't need the night route.
Yeah.
So I actually found it annoying that I'd remembered the course and remembered every turning.
Yeah.
And then, although they were saying take that thought process away of having to think about tree routes, well, now you've added in a thought process of having to learn a new course.
Yeah.
So the tree routes, the tree routes were insignificant compared to having to learn a new course.
Is that the first backyard you've done where they've changed the course at night then?
It is. It's quite common. Biggs, the main backyard in America, they do it, but they've got a reason to do it, because it is a technical day loop.
Yeah.
And so there's justification for it. I don't feel that there was justification for it in this. And I think Eric, the race director, is going to take that feedback. It wasn't just me. It's not just my feedback. It was a lot of people that I was talking to out on course. And
that was my next question. Was it the general consensus that wasn't necessary? I know you can't speak for other runners, but if you were in conversation, did they agree with you?
Yeah, and they told Eric the same thing. So I think everybody agreed that it wasn't necessary So,
but the good thing for Eric and Jonathan is it's something that they've tried.
Oh yeah, they didn't know. That was the thing. Is like they had no previous, but because they've not done a night and day loop, they thought other people do it. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
They've tried it, and I don't think they would do it again. So
yeah.
Good. It's good to know that they are taking feedback on board. So it is worth telling them.
And I think for Rasselbach as a company in general, I think they are amazing at that. I've not actually done any of their events yet, but they're definitely on my radar. Even more for the point of, like, see how they do that donation of the free entry that you can pay for. I mean, that is just, it's such a good spirit for the community that you can do that. You know, just little things like that. And they're getting their online platform so well set up now for people that can't go down like myself. You have got Twitch that you can watch the start, and don't get me wrong, it's a backyard. There's not much watching to be had apart from 5 to, you know, a minute past on the o'clock, but it's there.
Yeah, they said that there was cameras out on course, and I think if the weather had been nicer, there might have been, but I didn't see any. The only cameras that I saw were within like 2 minutes of the start line.
So the weather, you keep on running, and the weather is obviously getting kept an eye on. What happened with that as the race progressed?
Well, at about 24 hours, maybe a little bit before that, the National Trust, who own the land, had said that they've got a policy, and I believe it's a same policy for all their sites throughout the UK. If there's forecasted wind for more than 45 mile an hour, they will, everybody has to get off site.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with it, because there was so many trees. We had a lot of tree cover, and it wouldn't have taken much for a branch to fall down on a runner. And imagine the outcry from that. If they hadn't done anything about it, then there would have been serious, oh, why were you not taking the safety of runners? They did. They did. Eric and even the National Trust did exactly what they needed to do. There was nobody that, as a runner, there's nobody that we could have blamed for this happening, apart from everybody that doesn't look after the environment. This is climate change. This is, I try and stay away from like political stuff like that during the podcast. I can easily tell people that they are idiots for supporting Trump, but not during the podcast. But environmental stuff, it's everybody's problem, and it's there. So don't be a dick. So that's all I'm going to say.
So how much? So they were told the forecast was for 45. That was going to happen. How much longer then did you guys get told? Was it like, right, this is your last loop and yous are done?
Well, no. They kept on saying, oh, we're going to make a decision. We're going to make a decision. We're going to make a decision. We all knew that it was going to be about 5 o'clock in the morning. That was when the wind was forecast. But were they going to say, okay, race is cancelled in 5 hours, but the wind is not going to be here until 10 hours? I honestly thought it was going to be, I think, say 10 o'clock in the morning, we were going to get to run until 5 o'clock, because then that's when the site normally closes. And the wind wasn't forecast until 3, 4 in the morning at that point. So that would have given them time to get everybody off site. They would have needed security to shut down the site. So that was what I was expecting, for them to say, you'll be allowed to run 30-ish hours, and then after that we're stopping the race.
Yeah.
But they were never making the decision, it wasn't until about, I think it was 2 or 3 in the afternoon, that they said, okay, you've got, it must have been 3, and then you've got 11 hours to, the race is going to be done. If you're not finished by then, the race is cancelled.
Yeah.
So,
and then what was the feeling amongst you guys at that point?
there was, I went into the race wanting a PB. My PB is 42, and that would have only allowed me to go to 40. So it was, what's the point? There isn't any point in doing it. I wasn't there to win. I was there to get a PB.
Yeah.
So as far as I was concerned, I was racing against myself and encouraging the other runners. If it got to the point where I was getting near sort of PB territory, I would have been getting them to come back out, do another lap, because I want them to continue so that I can continue.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it got to the point where myself, Richard Thompson, and Lizzie Gatherer, we all had PBs around or above the 40-ish, 50, I think, for Lizzie. We couldn't get PBs.
No.
So it was, what's the point in continuing?
Exactly. There's no point in like keeping on going for, another 10 hours, like you say, and then, as you say, it's just pointless.
Yeah.
So
I've
decided.
seen. I fully, like, even now, it was the right decision to make. What was the point in me pushing myself on, damaging myself? I can now go and do a race quicker. I've seen comments online, who they were directed at, I'm not going to mention, saying that we use the excuse of having to finish early, or being able to finish early, using that cut off as an excuse. It wasn't an excuse. There was no reason to do it. Fully support the decision that I made, and I think we all made a decision independently. We made the same decision, and it was the right decision. Well done to the other two for making the same decision. It was the right.
It's a totally smart decision, because even if it was an excuse or not, what does it matter? You could, all three of you guys could not get a PB on top of what you've got. So it does seem senseless, but there were people that did go back out onto the course, weren't there? And there was 2 people that got to the end of the event, weren't there? Or did they finish a bit earlier?
They didn't quite get to the end. There was, I'm going to say, 4 people that continued when we stopped. I can't remember most of them. The furthest female, she stopped, I think, 2 or 3 yards after us. I think if Lizzie had continued, they would have been battling it out, and she might have gone longer. The argument that Lazarus Lake does is, if you know that you're going to get a prize for the first female, then you're going to quit earlier. Did she do that? I've no idea. I'm not going to comment on it, because I've no idea whether she did that or not. Could she have continued? No idea. But it's something for them to think about. I know that Phil Marshall and Nicholas Coots, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, they continued, and Nick stopped at 38 yards and Phil continued to 39 yards, and he won the race. I'll say to him and say now, if the 3 of us continued, I think we would have got to the deadline and we would have still been going. So,
and there wouldn't have been a winner.
Well done to him for winning. So it's what happens. We chose to stop, so we didn't win. If I continued and tried to win, then I think the race would have still been going. So everybody's a winner.
And do we know if that was a PB for those 2?
It was, yeah.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it was. So, yep.
I think that's, as you say, I think for the 4 that went back out after you guys had DNF'd, if that's a PB for them, or even like way beyond, I think the mindset I would like to take if it was me would be, how far can I go now?
Yeah.
Like
well, that was the mindset that I was in. How far can I go? But I couldn't go more than 40. So
So there's no point. So how did you feel at yard 29, was it, that you stopped? Highlander, how was it, 27?
26 or 27.
And that was an issue with your foot, was it not?
No, my calf. My right calf. I talked to the medic afterwards, and he suspected I'd torn a muscle in my calf. And I went to the physio about 2 or 3 days later, and he confirmed it. There was no doubt that is the soleus muscle.
Yeah.
I'd torn something. And normally, after a 100-miler or more, I'll take a week off running. It's not going to benefit me. As I took that week off and went for a run. I think it was actually 8 days that I took off, and everything was fine.
Right.
So
okay.
That 8 days, it had healed itself. There was maybe slight twinges and stuff, but I knew to take it easy, and it healed itself. I went for a run, a long run, 4 weeks after that, which was 56 miles, and I felt fine for the whole lot. And actually, back in October last year at the World Team Champs, I hurt my Achilles, and until about a month before this race, I was still hurting. And even now, I mean, I was hurting every single day. My Achilles was, I kind of learnt to manage it. And during this race, it wasn't sore at all. I'll say not sore at all. I think there was one point that was starting to get sore, and I put KT tape and extra. I've got a padded foam thing that I put on my heel, so I KT taped that on. Never felt it again. So I'm happy that between the calf injury and the Achilles, last year, I think at the World Team Champs, it was my Achilles that had actually gone, but I felt it in my right quad, but I was compensating. And during this race, none of that was a problem. After 29 hours, I was like, yeah, I'm a little bit sore, but after 29 hours, then you would be. I honestly felt like I could have continued for the same amount again. So,
and you asked me earlier how I would, like, how do I get out of like pits of, despair or what have you, like, because I'm only into week 5 of mine. Like, that's quite a significant injury for you with the Achilles, and you're saying that's a long time to be hurting for. How do you deal with that?
I don't know. I was worried. I didn't think I would be. I'm surprised that I was even starting Highlander. It was only because I think the team did it for me. Being part of the team and being the team captain, I probably, maybe not entirely sure, because it didn't happen. If I wasn't in the team, and I probably wouldn't have started that race.
Right.
But I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
So I always say that don't necessarily take my advice, but the best thing that I can do for a running injury is go for a long run, and it seems to get better afterwards. So if that works for you, then fair enough.
So after this, I can go up to Riverdale and do my impersonation.
I don't know why you're not doing the fling. So
don't tempt me. I've not pulled the plug yet. I've not told them yet I'm not DNS. No, as I say, with the email and that, I have sent and told them I'm not. But just for me, as you say, everybody works differently, don't they?
Yeah.
And it's, many a physio would be screaming at this podcast saying, no, don't do that, that's stupid.
Well, the physio that I've talked to, Alvin at Spear in Aberdeen,
Mhm.
he's seen me a few times, and he knows. He's always surprised that, in his words, how quick I recover.
Yeah.
And it's just through years and years of build up. You were saying earlier about doing your laps rounds round the streets, but I've been out in the hills. I've built it up. My body has learnt to deal with that, and I honestly think that's what makes me able to recover like I do.
But on top of that as well, you do strength as well, don't you? You do cross train.
I haven't been recently since the sort of October injury. I've been doing a bit of cross training, but compared to the year before that, or the years before that, I've been cutting it down.
Right.
But that's to deal with the injury. Would it have made it better? I don't know. So it's I would do it again, as in I will do the cross training again. It's not I found it beneficial. I haven't been recently, but yeah, I should have been. It's just because I'm lazy. So
I don't think you are lazy. You're a parent and you work full time. And as we said earlier on, it's a hobby for us. We're not paid athletes. This is just, and I think it is really easy to forget that. Like, I've been really, really upset that I'm not doing fling, but at the same time, my income doesn't rely on that. Like, if, the injury, I'm fortunate enough that I could even still go to work. Should I have went to work on like the week after I done it? Probably not, actually, to let it properly recover. But I did because it's my job. I don't like being off sick. So, but yeah, it's all about enjoying it, really, isn't it? And then when we do get injured, it's just managing that. So.
yeah, well, a few other points I was going to say. Yard, lap, whatever you want to call it, doesn't bother me. It's yard 26. So the in backyards, the below the whistle, 3 times 3 minutes to go, 2 times 2 minutes to go, once 1 minute to go. And some races will say, all right, you've got 20 seconds to go, let's go, just so that everybody knows. It's not in the rules. You don't need to say that. Some races are kind to their runners, as it were. So yard 26. I don't know. Me and Rebecca can't remember hearing the third whistle. And talking to somebody else, they said, no, it wasn't blowing. But every yard, when I stopped, I'd put on my windbreaker. I would put on my dry robe.
Yeah.
And then when I was ready to go in the corral, I'd take off the dry robe, put on the windbreaker at the 3-minute whistle, and go into the corral with probably a minute to go.
Yeah.
We can't remember hearing the 3-minute whistle, or the 2-minute whistle, or the 1-minute whistle. All we heard was Eric saying, okay, 20 seconds to go. And remember earlier, I said that we were about 30 to 40 meters away.
Mm-hmm.
I've looked on Garmin, and I made it to the corral with 1 second to go. I jumped, as in like long jumped, into the corral, 1 second to spare. Wow. And I looked on Garmin, and I'd done a 5:18 mile pace. That's about 3:10 kilometer. For 15 seconds, Garmin says that I was at that pace. After 26 yards, that was probably the hardest part of the whole race.
I would say that's a highlight, because Rebecca said she when you had went off, as you said earlier on, we were in contact pretty regularly, and she messaged me saying, "Oh yeah, he nearly missed that loop." I'm like, "How did you fall asleep?" Which is the natural response, because you're that long into it. I'm like, "Did you just both doze off?" She says, "No, we were just talking."
Yeah. Well, the weird thing is, I put on my windbreaker at 3 minutes to go every lap.
Mm-hmm.
When I got into the corral, my jacket was on.
Yeah. So
did I hear it and we've forgotten that we heard it?
I think you must have done, because I said to Rebecca that, I was like, "Well, what to do is set alarms in your phone now if you're tired, if you're whatever." She went, "No, they just need to blow the whistle louder."
Well, normally if I don't have crew, I'll have an alarm with 3 minutes to go, just to make sure. If I don't hear that, I've got no option but hear my alarm, because I have to physically turn it off. Yeah. And lesson learned, set the alarm, because the worst thing you have to do is turn it off. So exactly. Is that sort of preparation is key. Yeah. The other preparation is, my wife was at home. She wasn't there on the day because Flora had school, so daughter had they had things to do. Mm-hmm. Running wasn't there. They weren't with me, so I told her, and I've told her for previous races. I don't think I actually told her this time, but she'd remembered from previous races. Never tell me negative things while I'm running or while I'm racing. And she got a puncture and had to go and replace the tire while I was busy racing. But she knew, don't tell me. There was nothing that I could have done about it. Yeah. Because I was 421 miles away. Exactly. So what would have been the benefit of her telling me, go and deal with it? Because there's nothing I can do. So, but is that sort of, I didn't need the negative sort of her telling me that negative thing. So I think that's the preparation. Just tell it's not just your crew. If there's anything goes wrong in the background and the crew deals with it, great. They've dealt with it. You don't need to know about it. Yeah, exactly. So overall, aside from you having to DNF because of weather conditions and those excuses that the three of you made just to finish early, it was a positive experience. It was. As I said, I got to 29 hours or 29 yards or laps or whatever you want to call it, and I felt fine. So much so that I went to a hotel, which is another story I'll tell you about. When I got up in the morning, I knew that there was a shower there to use, and I didn't have to check out until 12 o'clock. So I went for a run. Yeah. I went for 7 miles around Sheffield. It wasn't fast. It was like 11-minute miles, but that's backyard pace. And it felt fine. It's not that I needed to. I wanted to. So I normally, as I said earlier, I'd take a week off, but I didn't feel I needed to rest. I didn't feel I needed to run, but I wanted to. So I think that's a bonus as well. That's something a bit different for you after running. So in total, how many miles did you run? And we end up, I know you got to 29 yards, but for those that aren't good at maths like myself, I'll ask, how far did you get? About 121. That's amazing. So, and then it must have been 12 hours later, I did a 7-hour run. Yeah. So, yeah, the thing that I couldn't prepare for was after the race, we didn't have to be off the site for 11 hours. So I got an hour's sleep in the back of the van. Rebecca went home. She was only about a couple of hours away. So she went home. I got sleep in the back of the van. And then when I got up, I went and asked Eric, do you know any services, like motorway service stations that have got showers? And they couldn't think of any. I was looking on Google, I couldn't think of any. So I went on Travelodge, and just there was a Travelodge not that far away for £31. Bargain.
Happy days.
I'm doing that. On you go.
Yeah, absolutely. When you've got a proper bed to sleep in as well.
Got to the Travelodge and talked to the guy on the reception who he wasn't a runner, but he was very interested in the race. Jeremy, his name was, because it said on the reception, and I was so tired that how did I even remember that? He was talking about what do you eat during low GI foods and all this kind of. He was very interested. Oh, have you got your booking number? Oh yeah, it's here. So, slight problem. That's for next week.
Oh.
In my tired haste, I can only assume it was me. If you go into Travelodge, it defaults to today. Well, no, I think it defaults to today. So why was it next week that I booked it for? I don't know. So, okay, can you give me can I change it? You go, oh, well, you can phone up Central. We don't deal with the things in the actual hotel, the bookings, but you can phone up the Central line. Here's the number. Okay, well, my phone's only got 5% battery left. I'll try phoning them. Dial the number. We charge 11 pence a minute, and you've got a 15-minute queue.
No.
Well, my battery's not going to last that long, so hung up. Told them. They went, okay, I'll have a look on the website. And there's another. It was in Sheffield that I had booked the Travelodge. There's another Travelodge in Sheffield, so I managed to get a place there. But that was another 40 quid. So 40 quid plus the 31, I could have gotten a fancy hotel for that price. But I just wanted to, the worst thing is, I just wanted a shower. I was happy to sleep in the van. I just wanted a shower.
So have you still got that room for next week? Because I've got time off next week, and I'll happily use that booking. I'm sure it's got to be close enough to the Pennine Way.
Saturday night, yeah, you have to use it on Saturday night. If you want it, it's yours. If anybody else out there wants a Travelodge on Saturday night in Sheffield, drop me a message. But the other Travelodge that I went to, managed to get there, managed to actually book the right one on the right night. Oh, you've got to pay for your parking outside. So that was another £3. Okay, right. Pay for that. I don't care. I just want a shower. I'm stinking. I've been running for 29 hours.
This is like the most expensive shower I think you're going to have booked.
It is, but it doesn't stop there. Because when I left the next day, I said to Rebecca that I would take her out for dinner to celebrate because it was a successful race. So went over to hers, but going through Sheffield, there was signs saying you're now leaving the low emission zone. Like, yeah, what? When did I enter the low emission zone? And if the low emission zone there is the same as the low emission zone in Aberdeen, that's like a 60 quid fine. So I was expecting that. So I went on the website to find out how much it was going to be, and it was a tenner. So paid it there and then. So yeah, that's what, 70 quid for the hotel, £10 for that, £3 for parking. Yeah, that was an expensive shower.
And then the happiest bit for me was you came up to mine on the way home.
I did.
I'm delighted to be sitting across from you talking to you because my cooking hasn't poisoned you.
You asked if I liked it, and there was clean plates twice because I had seconds. So I think that says it all.
There you go. So to those naysayers that says I was going to poison you, I never.
Yeah, those naysayers, Ross Beveridge. I was told. So yeah, I'm home now. In total, it was almost 900 miles. A long trip for what could have been a disaster. It wasn't. I'm taking it as a positive. I got to that. I know that in my head that I can get to that distance and still have plenty to go. If you'd asked me that 3, 4 months ago, I probably would have said, "Nah, I'll be fine." But in my head, that I would have known that I wasn't.
So
I
it's a good confidence boost for you. Is there any that you've got your eye on then coming up that you can get a decent PB
I no, I was deliberately not doing anything, not even looking at races until after Hardwick Hall had been out of the way with.
Yeah.
I don't see the point in even thinking about it.
No.
And I'm not making any, like, although it's Thursday now and the race was on Saturday, it's still too early to think about. I slept for 9.5 hours last night, and the only reason I got out of bed is because I had to walk Flora to the school bus.
Yeah.
I could have easily slept for another probably an hour and a half before we recorded this podcast, and I would have done. So it's too early. I've got the time off work because I had to use the holidays or lose them. So I'm happily sitting about doing nothing at the moment. I'll probably go to the running club tonight, but I might not. So we'll see.
Well, you've more than deserved your rest anyway, so definitely enjoy putting your feet up. And if you fancy running club, go. If you don't, just chill.
That's the thing at the moment. It's just do whatever I feel like at the time.
Exactly.
So I think unless you've got any questions about the race, booking travel lodges stupidly.
Don't ask your advice on them.
Yeah.
I think that's what I've taken from that.
So anything else you want to catch up on?
I think that's us wrapped up for now. People seem to enjoy the last episode that we spoke about what we were doing. As we said at that episode, it's not something we intend to do that frequently. I personally don't have. I've got the Ultra Chili Trail, as I said earlier, coming up in November. But aside from that, my running is going to be just keeping base fitness until the end of April, because my intention is to complete my master's dissertation. So the focus is very much going to be on that and just ticking over with the running and the fitness and building on this ankle.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's got any feedback on how much rubbish that we talk, or even what guests you want to be on, drop us a message on Instagram. That's the best place to. There are other platforms, but the messages go missing. We don't get notifications. Instagram is the place to do it.
Yeah.
Direct message or comment on a post.
Yeah.
Feedback means everything. It could change it. We could ignore it. Well, it's what happens. So from me, it's goodbye. Thank you, Nikki, for being Nikki. If anybody has anything they want to ask, please ask and we'll answer it. Try and be honest. We might not be honest with ourselves, but we'll try to be honest on the podcast. So see you later.
Thanks.